welcome back for the 11th time to your new favorite Magic the Gathering Mono Black Draft Chaff themed podcast, Bogstompers. We are your hosts of the coast. Everybody introduce yourselves, starting with me. I'm the lovable, puckish rogue of the podcast, a scoundrel. I'm Joe Joseph Joey. Any of those is fine. My pronouns are he, him. And passing along the torch, one square up on Discord, who's that handsome gentleman?
It's me. I'm Evan or Ev. I don't know what character archetype I fell within the podcast, but I do think Joe is our puckish rogue. And I'm excited to be here again today to talk about something that Bobby's going to talk about. Or maybe Joe will bring it up. I don't know.
Yeah, and I am Bobby. I use they and he pronouns, and I'm the archetypical hero. I do nothing wrong. I never have. I never will. I'm the savior of everything, including the audio quality and the video that you're seeing
All
right
right,
now.
shrewd vizier.
Yes, I will lead us all to victory. And today I want to lead you all to look at your screens right now. You're seeing some updated graphics. If you're just joining us, we've always looked like this, I'm sure. We wanted to up some of the production value now that we're 11 episodes in. We just hit our 70th subscriber yesterday. Actually, our shorts are really taking off. And we just wanted to thank you for that again, as we have in the last few episodes, and also provide some updates for what's happening on the channel. As you know, these episodes come out every 2 weeks. We're really glad that you're tuning in, that you're listening. Our boglets, as we're calling them, our shorts, our reels, are coming out roughly every 2 to 3 days whenever we get them. Some of them being from the latest episode, some of them being new content where we can. We're also having some special videos come out. Joe has been working on a really excellent video essay that we just got the recording done for the other day. We just have a few lines to record for that, and it should come out end of August, early September, depending on if I can get my act together and editing it. We want to thank you for joining the channel. We have some deck techs coming up. I'm going to have a video taking you through the Tarkir Cube, and we're just really, really excited for what this is kind of turning into and what Bogstompers is becoming. But of course, that brings us...
To be fair to Bobby,
yeah.
There are some other extenuating circumstances. We like Bobby said, we also have some other guests going to be recording on the episode, the video essay. And also, we're hopefully going to have new music composed, which we can't wait for you guys to hear. A special shout out to our friend Alicia Chapman, who does all of the music for this podcast and our associated products. I just want to plug her because we love her.
Yeah.
Bobby, for the new formatting, is there Subway Surfers played on the side now during the episode? So people keep their interest the whole time?
It's just
what
over...
about jingling keys?
Yeah.
We could jingle keys at people.
It's just over your audio, Evan. So whenever you start talking, it's covered.
That makes sense. That checks out.
In case
you have to edit that bit in for this part. Oh
no, I don't know it. Yeah,
no, you don't. That's gonna be so hideous. What are we doing for today?
Today we're talking about Alara Reborn. This is our first episode that is a set autopsy, taking an old set and breaking it down, seeing what we got out of it, and seeing how it was kind of remembered, how it is remembered, and how we feel personally about the set, and kind of take you through a journey. And today's journey is into Alara Reborn. Alara Reborn was a small set, 145 cards, releasing in April 30th of 2009, the third set of the Alara block, and the 49th Magic expansion. This set had a unique attribute, as some of you may know. Every single card in this set is multicolored. That means there's no colorless artifacts. That means there's no monocolored cards at all. There are no lands. Everything is multicolored. It is wild to look at this card image gallery for the first time and realize this. It was not designed to be drafted alone. I think if you drafted it alone, you might have a hemorrhage of some kind. It would be brutal, and there's like no fixing. There's a little bit of fixing. Give the designers credit.
I disagree. There's some ways you can make this work. And also, I will say, quick shout out to the folks over at Scryfall. We are going to be using Scryfall to look at our stuff, like literally every Magic content creator, and also the MTG Wiki. We're not going to be plagiarizing all their fun factoids. But the general overviews of what does this mechanic do?
Mhm.
What are the cycles in the set? Just the baseline facts we are going to be referencing for this podcast.
Yeah. How do we feel about like the general what are first impressions before we dive right in and get our last impressions? How do people feel about Alara Reborn?
We talked about I think Shards of Alara in our first set, or not first set, first episode, excuse me. And I think Alara Reborn is just as cool and weird in a lot of wonderful ways. I looked at this card image gallery at midnight last night when we were texting about what we were doing for today's episode, lying in bed about to fall asleep, and a slightly sleep deprived scroll through of Alara Reborn was wonderful. And I was like, man, these cards are awesome, and I recognize a lot of them from building and playing commander decks over the past couple of years.
Yeah, I think a lot of people go down like with the consensus that Alara Reborn is kind of a failed experiment because we've not revisited Alara. We've never had a set like this again. But actually looking at the individual, even card quality for casual formats, there are some broken cards for modern, legacy, vintage, etc., etc. But a lot of really iconic stuff in this set is great for Cube. It's great for Commander. It's great for the sort of environments where you're looking to have fun. And in that way, I think Alara Reborn kind of just kicks ass. Like, maybe it's not the best third pack for the draft, but ultimately, it's a killer individual set itself to have released 10 years ago, and you can now look at cards and say, I want this for my more expressive deck building rather than power level.
Agreed. But not to deny the power level, I think for a set that is only 145 cards, you have to dig pretty deep until you get to some Stone Cold Unplayables. They're there. They're definitely there. But even the Stone Cold Unplayables, A, you could argue have a home, and B, have the sickest art you've ever seen. The aesthetics
Oh,
of
this set's
Alara
gorgeous.
and how they
Yeah.
show the 5 shards coming together in this set after Conflux is just fantastic and really paints a picture of this world. And even though I was not playing at the time, I started playing a few years after this, I can see why so many old players are like, we gotta go back to Alara. We have to embrace this again. We have to see like how does new modern Magic design principles interpret not only the artistic designs but the mechanical designs.
When was this released? We said this was like 2008ish, right?
2009.
2008, 2009.
2009.
Yeah.
The whole block. This is actually this is the set preceding when I started collecting Magic. When I was a kid, I was really, really interested in the booster packs. I thought the art was beautiful. So I barely missed Shards of Alara.
Yeah.
Zendikar, New Phyrexia, and like the M10, M11 era was my. When I look at cards in this art style, it's interesting. It's kind of the Uncanny Valley effect, where because I saw so many cards that were from this art design and art direction ethos and have a lot of nostalgia for those, these feel kind of like a home you haven't visited in a while. Like you just came back from college that first time, which is an interesting effect to have when you look at a Magic set.
Yeah. Agreed. Completely agreed. So but speaking of these designs, what are the mechanics of the set? Do we want to dive into kind of the outside of just having all multicolored cards, which I would say is a mechanic in and of itself? We have a lot of cards that care specifically about multicolored creatures and multicolored cards doing various things, being cast, attacking, whatnot. What are the mechanics we see return in Alara Reborn?
Looking at MTG Wiki, like Joe referenced previously, hybrid mana was featured for the first time here. I feel like we're pretty used to it now in modern Magic, and a lot of cards are printed with hybrid mana. It's the first time it appears alongside regular mana costs. So, and I'm assuming in the past it didn't appear alongside regular mana costs, but here it is, which is neat. There's also Cascade, which has had a variety of variations printed now in Magic. Cascade, when you play a spell with Cascade, you reveal cards from the top of your library until you find a non-land card that costs less, and you cast that card. It's cool. It's been reprinted a couple different times. I can't name every set it's been reprinted, but it's certainly been reused and sort of evolved and reworked in Discover. And then we have Cycling, which has been reprinted a million times from
Just
previous
to, so we revise and
Yeah.
we get it down. What Ev was saying, just to spell it out for the audience, because you might not be aware of previous mechanics, that happens all the time. is that hybrid mana costs in their original appearance on Ravnica were only the mana cost of the card that were colored. So when you would get a Boros hybrid mana cost card, it would be generic mana and then split Boros mana. Versus this time around, you will see full pips of one color and then a hybrid pip of another color, right? So you would see a Golgari pip and then a red pip. That's sort of the thing being described there.
There's a whole cycle
It's a
of cards.
really esoteric thing to kind of put into words. Just like the fact that there's a cycle now, there's a second cycle from the original Alara block sets, where if you cycle this card, it has an effect versus only having an effect when it's played, and cycling is there to draw cards. We'll see this revisited time and time again anytime cycling appears. Amonkhet does it pretty famously. Pretty eternal mechanics.
Mhm.
Yeah, they come back a bunch, and then they still return mechanics from earlier in the block that these are not quite. Land cycling is returned, which is again sort of eternal, and then Exalted, Devour, and Unearth, which are I feel like less so eternal, are still returning also in this set.
Yeah.
It's also notable to say the actual sort of not quite draft archetypes, sort of faction mechanics also include for Esper colored artifacts. That was big enough back in the day to make it a whole mechanic, I guess. Crazy. This is the first time that appears. And then also, Naya has power 5 or greater, because we cannot give red-green anything other than dudes are big as a mechanic.
Mhm.
Shout out to my boys Ferocious. And what's the other one? Bobby, you're a Tarkier head.
Formidable.
Formidable.
Of course. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, it seems kind of silly when one of the shard's mechanics is just creatures power 5 or greater, until you remember that Ferocious was not that long later and it was just 4 or greater. It was just keyworded, so it lends it a bit more air of a signature look of superiority, if anything. Here it looks very just common and bland, and it's like, oh, other mechanics, like Exalted is a sick mechanic, right? It's mechanically unique, it's different, and Naya just got big, which fair. Sometimes you're just bigger and you punch people, and we have a lot of big punchy creatures in this set that can do a lot of work.
Oh yeah.
It's a little clunky too, because you look at some of the cards that are designed to, because this is a 3-color set.
Mhm.
These cards that are 2-color are designed to bridge 2 different decks, and you can play them in either. So you'll see effects like a card with Exalted and nothing else, and you don't understand how it's supposed to represent Naya until you see it's just big for its cost.
Yeah.
And that's how you're supposed to draft it, is you see it's huge, so my cards that care about huge creatures like it.
Should we go into
Okay.
the things that have sort of stood the test of time in this set and are still played in EDH generally today?
Yeah.
As we dig deeper into this autopsy and are cutting into the body of Alara Reborn.
Oh God.
Should we just start with the entirety of Cascade? Like, there's
Yeah,
whole
we can start.
archetypes around it. Yidris, good commander, still worth a few dollars. And then Abaddon also revisited it in our crossover with Warhammer 40,000. Tons of these Cascade cards, even outside of Commander, especially outside of Commander, really should be said, after the printing of Crashing Footfalls, are eternal playable. Many of them had to have been banned. This is even true of Discover in Lost Caverns of Ixalan, which was sort of a fixed, quote-unquote, version of the set mechanic, and it was equally broken. It was also completely fucked up the formats it was in. Getting a second card on your card, especially when you can stack your deck in a way that it's always a certain one, is busted.
So they also keep printing cards that care about casting from exile, and so at least for EDH, where these cards generally are not banned, these Cascade stays strong because you have like your Rocco, for example. I have a Rocco deck where it's like you want to cast things from exile, you get to play these cards, and you get more and more value off it as time goes on. So always good, and continues to be good as Wizards offered support for casting from exile, and there are a lot of different options now for doing that. Like airbending from the upcoming Avatar set. But right now we're talking about Cascade and Violent Outburst.
What really needed to exist is a mechanic that made, oh goodness, what's his name? AFR man. Prosper. We really needed a mechanic in the game that made Prosper even better.
Yeah.
I love you, Wizards of the Coast, for deciding that back in the day, you needed to make one of the most busted mechanics of all time and
Better.
then invent a precon that could perfectly meld with it, where the commander is also famously pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's funny they give Cascade to all the colors literally on. There's the card that just gives all your spells Cascade or all your multicolored spells Cascade. But I want to look. Evan mentioned a banned card. I want to mention Violent Outburst, which is 3 mana. It's 1 and a Gruul. It is banned in Modern. The text just says creatures you control get +1/+0 until end of turn, and it also has Cascade. 3 mana creatures you control get +1/+0 until next turn is terrible. That is a frankly bad card, even at the time we are talking about. This card is banned in Modern to this day because you would just get your 2-drops for free. It's just another tutor in red green, and it skewed mana curves. It was just kind of a bizarre way that it shifted an entire design ethos for what Modern was, to the degree that Bloodbraid Elf now is legal, but a Bloodbraid Elf cascading into Violent Outburst, which is your only 3-drop, into whatever your 1 or 2-drop, quite frankly, win condition was or something.
I'm gonna be honest with you, Bob. You have this card wrong.
Mm-hmm. I was gonna say, didn't it cascade?
You do not cascade into your 2-drops or 1-drops.
Oh, I'm
Ev, what do you cascade into?
You cascade into your suspend cards, which have no mana
value. Exactly.
Right? So you'd be like crashing from falls and something big. Yeah.
Living End, Soul Talisman. What if it found some of your best cards of all time?
Yeah.
That were specifically designed around the fact of being playable, like comfortably playable, not busted, because they don't have mana costs of their own. Well, that leads to some very interesting rules interactions. That means that you have a 3 mana go get 2 5/4s.
Yep.
Personally, I want to talk about the little guys on the front of Violent Outburst. I believe, if I'm not wrong, these are the Esper Homunculuses.
Yes.
And they are awesome. Thank you, Richard Witters. These guys are great. I love seeing homunculuses across planes. There are 3 of them. This could be us if we get really angry and violent at something.
Yeah.
Well, if Bobby keeps implying that you cascade into 2-drops, that will be me.
You could. Listen, I'm just such a cool and based Magic player that I'm like, why would you want a Violent Outburst into Crashing Footfalls when you could a Violent Outburst into Ragavan? Who needs
All right, you jackass. You were running Soul Talisman in your Abaddon deck. You fucking know damn well what you're supposed to do with this mechanic. All right, enough about Cascade, because it's busted. We know it well.
It's very good.
What else do we have to talk about, really? I mean, like, a lot of these mechanics are returning, so we could save it for the Shards of Alara set Autopsy. We've mentioned them briefly, like Exalted and Devour and stuff. We probably... Even Cycling is not particularly notable for this set. This set is pretty much dominated by Cascade. Cycling was from the 90s and will continue to be printed into the 2050s.
I'm so sorry. I don't want to bring up something new right at the end. But I do want to say this was like the first set with like collector's boosters, where it came with like 15 foil cards. I'm just going to briefly mention that because someone is going to comment that. That is another thing that Alara Reborn added to the game. And, you know, this set was a big swing with all the multicolored cards. I encourage Wizards to do that again. They certainly did collector's boosters again instead, and now you can pre-order the Avatar cards for $1 billion.
It's, to be fair, they did also like take a break with that, and they came back with weird other forms of it. It wasn't codified. These aren't official collector's boosters, but this is the start of that mindset, which is cringe.
Yeah, agreed.
So, do we want to go into individual card designs? Are we comfortable with that being our main focus for the mechanics of the set?
Yeah, I think Cascade is a good enough thing to cover, where it was like, from what I understand, it was the one new thing that they added for this one, and something that's been impactful up to this age of Magic.
Yeah, I think let's dive right in. Does anyone have a particular card they want to start with?
I have 2 cards picked out personally to look at. Not that they're great, but just that I liked them when scrolling through last night.
Yeah, take it away.
How many do you guys have pulled up that you'd like to talk about, even if they're not the best cards in the set?
I've cast so many of these.
Yeah,
Like,
I have a
it's
bunch.
fucked up. Like, looking at the fact that this set is basically every EDH precon pulls something from it
Yeah.
is insane. So let's get this out of the way right now. Are we going to first talk about our favorite cards, or are we going to first talk about the cards most relevant to the format that most of our listeners play? Do we want to start with good cards? Do we want to start with interesting cards?
Let's start with good
Let's do
cards.
like 2 or 3 good cards, and then
Yeah.
we can go into the ones we like a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do it in that order then. Ev, take us away. What's some of the best
Let's
cards in the
start
set?
with the number 4 played card currently on EDH ring from the set. Let's look at Lord of Extinction. This is again printed in a lot of graveyard precons. I don't know if it still is, but I feel like for a while it was. Lord of Extinction for 3 black and a green. You get a creature elemental. Lord of Extinction's power and toughness are each equal to the number of cards in all graveyards. This is a good card. You play it in any graveyard deck or a deck that's forcing someone to mill. And it gets big, and you have a big creature on board that can swing at people and hit him in the face with this big, weird, lovely elemental. I like it. I think it's good. It's still played. I think, yeah, that's all I got for this one.
I have a CDC deck, have had a CDC deck, original CDC, since original Tarkir came out, and it plays pretty much every variation of Lord of Extinction. This is one of the more disappointing ones to me. I mean, it's one of the first ones, right? But it doesn't have it. There are very few decks, and there are some decks who want this, who mill both yourself and the opponent. But I think if you have a deck that mills your opponent and wants a big creature, you want Consuming Aberration, because Consuming Aberration will be big enough that the extra bonus you'd get from your graveyard doesn't really matter, but then it very importantly has a way to mill on the card. Whereas this is just essentially a vanilla 5/5, or a vanilla a million, but 4/5 mana rather. But then there's so many, like Splinter Fright is 3 mana. It just cares about your graveyard, but it also mills you, and more importantly, it has trample. Apocalypse Demon, you might have to sacrifice something, but it has flying. This is big. It can combo kill people with, a fling effect, but it is not my favorite effect for this. I understand why they keep reprinting it. I don't understand why it's $7 when all of those other cards I just listed are like 2 cents.
It's $7.
It was, at least for a time. I'm not sure if it still is. Yeah, the original
The original printing is $7.
The original printing,
but for Tarkir Dragonstorm Commander, it's 78 cents. So you can get your Lord of Extinction for cheap now if you want.
The people understand.
I didn't know they printed it in the precon deck recently. Good call, Ev.
Yeah, you're welcome.
The flavor text of this card?
And I'm Mr. Precons. I buy a million of these fucking things.
You are. You probably own the deck it's in, and you just haven't looked through it yet. That's not true. I don't know.
No, I didn't buy any of the Tarkir ones. Fuck dragons. They're lame.
They're so cool. The forlorn cries.
We're gonna lose subscribers.
Yeah, the forlorn cries of the dead combined to make its laugh is its flavor text. That's
pretty metal. A lot of this is pretty metal. Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. Do either you have any top cards in this category you want to talk about?
I have a really smooth transition. Let's go from one $7 card to another $7 card. This is Time Sieve. Time Sieve is an incredible combo piece. You can do a lot of shit with this to make infinite loops. In most formats, it's dependent on the era of the format. I don't know how much play this is seen in like Legacy and Vintage. But I know that you could do modern decks with it. Probably not today. Today, the metagame is so fast with things like Orcish Bowmasters and Ragavan trotting all over Eternal Magic. But this is also a huge piece in EDH. This is a big EDH combo piece. I don't think you'd really want this in a cube. Like, it's an interesting card, but it requires very specific build-arounds. Maybe it's fairer there, but ultimately, do you really want to be doing fair things with Time Sieve? I would really like to do unfair things with it. Keep in mind, this is a card that was printed in an era before artifact tokens. End of sentence. But especially these days, they've gotten very, very all over the place. Like, we have blood, we have power stones, we have clues, we have food, we have every single kind of token under the sun. Gold, golems, thopters, servos. I tried to design an entire cube around the concept. This is probably one of the most powerful cards in the set if you know how to leverage it. this probably could even see some like Canlander play. I'm not too sure about that, but it seems like a card that you could do some fucked up nasty things with a Tolarian Academy and an Urza Lord High Artificer.
Yeah.
What do we want to say about Time Civ?
This was also the card.
It's very good.
Yeah. This was also the card I was going to talk about with in terms of just like the best, like the most iconic and best cards in the set that I think people miss. It's wild to me that there are just so many combos and they kind of print more accidentally, because whenever they make artifact tokens, if you just accidentally make too many every turn, oops, you make a Time Civ combo. Of course, the classic sort of the Meekthopter Foundry is deeply funny to me, but I just realized. I mean, Joe mentioned CEDH. Tivit. This just goes in as long as you can deal combat damage or blank or do anything, but you have a million turns, you can do that. Tivit just and Time Civ are just best friends. They're just gonna hang out and you're gonna just take a billion turns, but someone will have a counterspell or something. But yeah, Tivit is such a funny commander because you look at it and it does not seem that broken inherently. It's like, okay, you pay 6 mana for this guy. And then you see things like Time Civ and you're like, oh, I am understanding why this isn't the fun, silly voting commander that they wanted it to be. This is a combo kill commander, and that's silly.
What's really funny about it is Tivit, nobody really picked up on this at launch. It was a good few months before people realized that Tivit was CADH viable through Time Civ combo. Doubtlessly, people were doing it, but it didn't really take off into the metagame and break into a bunch of tier lists and until probably 6 months after Nuka Panic Commander. Probably because Nuka Panic Commander is a huge fucking set. It is unreasonable. It's like 200 new cards, or at least it feels like it. There are commanders in there that you've never heard of.
Yeah, that should be our next Autopsy, because there are new cards in that set every day, actually, weirdly enough.
Yeah. They just sneak them in.
I keep looking at Scryfall and they lie to me. They say there's Oscar Rubbish Reclaimer. Who the fuck is that? That's not real.
All right, Bobby, you got one more card for us that is not Time Civ?
That was the card I was going to talk about. There's other cards I can mention really quickly just to run down a list. We don't have to spend as much time on them. Obviously, Terminate is the most played card in the set. It does not originate here, so we're not going to spend too much time talking about it, though it is really funny to see it can't be regenerated in a set that doesn't really have any regenerate, if I am seeing correctly. But there's
the block does. There is regenerate in the block.
Yes,
in a few places.
Yes, relevant in the draft format. But I will just like to highlight the 5 legends in this set. This is back from the time where legends were not in every pack. They're no longer in every pack. That's a YouTuber clickbaity thing to say, but they were 5 mythics, and they are some banger commanders. Like Send triplets. Don't play Send triplets, but it's very powerful objectively. Uriel, famously a great Voltron commander and one of the first that kind of took that archetype to be anything. Thraxamundar still sees play, especially with that fantastic secret lair. Karthus is objectively the funniest dragon commander. You can play Tiamat, you can play the doubling one, who I can't remember the name of, and you're seeing on screen right now. Mirim, yes. Sentinel Worm. You could play Ur-Dragon. But if you play Karthus, Tyrant of Jund, and your opponent happens to have like 1 dragon out and you can take it, it'll be the funniest thing that's ever happened in your pod. And I encourage you to play it because you Jund him out and the only way you can. And then I
love this card. I think Karthus is probably the most honest dragon commander. And
Agreed.
Even as a famous dragon hater like me, I think that makes it cool as hell.
Yeah.
Just you don't need blue and white. You're dragons. What the fuck are you doing? Play Jund. It's cool.
Yep. And of course
Astral Dragon.
Of course we have the most
So I was just saying Astral Dragon. That's what you want in blue, but it's irrelevant.
Who cares? Of course, we have the most memorable of commanders from this set, which is Janara, Asura of War, who's just a 3/3 with flying, and you can pay 2 whole mana to give it a +1/+1 counter. This is a bad card. Don't play it.
I've cast this card. This card has been resolved by me.
This is beautiful.
When?
This is in the Jared Carthalion precon, and I didn't remove it. I kept it in there.
Okay.
It has evasion. Like, it's fine. It's not a bad card. It's
Yeah.
just
3/3 for 3 with flying.
It's interesting colors if you want to do an Angels deck, because... Oh, sorry. It's in the new Capenna Commander deck. I added it to Jared Carthalion. I'm a genius.
Notably for legendary cards in the set, there's also Unscythe, Killer of Kings.
Mhm.
I don't know how often this is played. The card's so cool, though. It's so metal.
So
I love
cool.
Unscythe, Killer of Kings. Look at that art. It's on screen now. Bobby, make it a little bigger.
Oh yeah.
A little bigger again.
With freaky.
It's great. It makes zombies. It makes a guy big. I like Unscythe, Killer of Kings. It's cool. It's the other legendary card in the
Yeah.
set.
I want it to be playable so bad. This was the fun
I
part I was
know.
gonna bring up. Like, you got to pay 6 mana, and then you got to have it like kill things, and then you make 1 zombie. And I wish this card was so cool. +3/+3 first strike is good, but you're paying 6 mana, and then if your creature gets removed, and like, okay, maybe you're playing an equipment deck. Are you playing a Grixis equipment deck? I don't think you
No.
are.
They could make it. Speaking of, Flurry of Wings is also in this set.
Mhm.
A Bant Birds card that went from pennies to $5 because of the printing of Chocobo, or whatever the fuck its stupid name is. Choco Seeker of Paradise.
From Final
Hate
Fantasy
that.
9.
From Final Fantasy 9.
Sure.
We're gonna have to talk about fucking Spider-Man too. Anyways, this is hilarious. So maybe in the future they'll make, I don't know, what's a setting that has a arms master that's like evil, like Dark Souls. Maybe they'll make a Dark Souls commander deck product, and there's a Grixis commander who cares about equipment, and then this fucking thing is gonna be $1 million.
Purchase your copies now. This is what the Bogstompers say.
That's true.
Buy your copies early. Always
invest now
speculate.
before Dark Souls.
Yeah.
Before Dark Souls comes up, because
Mhm.
you know
How
it
much
will.
money is it?
I don't know. I didn't check.
$1 million.
I can look. Hold on.
Like $1.50.
Unscythe Killer of
$1
Kings
billion.
is $1.42.
That's a pretty safe spec.
Joe's gonna buy 70 copies of this card.
That's my retirement fund.
And then they're gonna reprint it.
Awesome. With special art for the Universes Beyond, that'll be more
You'll catch me in
expensive.
the fucking Evangelion kneel where Shinji has his head in his hands.
Funny.
Mhm.
All right, should we go into our personal favorite cards? I know I took Unscythe from Bobby, but
No,
we
yeah,
can go into a few.
I have some good ones here.
All right,
Every
I got
card
two.
in this set could be a favorite card because they're all sick as hell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the reins here for a second. I'm gonna talk about first about Glass Dust Hulk. For 3, a white and a blue, you get an artifact creature golem. Whenever another artifact comes into play under your control, Glass Dust Hulk gets +1/+1 till end of turn and is unblockable this turn. It has cycling for a hybrid Azorius. I think this card is good still. I would it's a worse Kappa Cannoneer, but I think it's still playable, especially with cycling. It makes this more playable because if you have it in your hand, you're like, I don't want to play this. You can discard it and draw a card instead. I'm also a big fan of golems as a concept. I'm Jewish, and I think golems are neat because they're sort of the forefront of mythological creatures, at least in my mind when it comes to thinking about Judaism. And so seeing one purchase this set makes me happy. And I like this big guy. And I like playing artifacts. And so I want to talk about Glass Dust Hulk. I almost said Glass Dust Gear Hulk. That's not this card. This is just a Hulk regular. No gears on this one. How do you feel about Glass Dust Gear? Not Gear. Fucking shit. Glass Dust Hulk. Slightly worse Kappa Cannoneer.
And we've been trained by fucking Aether Drift.
Yeah.
No. I remember we built a Golems deck just to build it one day, and I was hard on this card. I was like, in a good way. Like, I was like, I love this card. This card is sick as hell. I think because it's a Kappa Cannoneer scares a table, right? People do not like a 40/40 unblockable creature. So this being a little tamer means that it's probably not going to get removed. Though who's spending 5 mana to kill a Kappa Cannoneer? Nobody. And additionally, if you care about that creature type, like, I think this is really defensible. I think this is a really neat card. You could play it with your splicers, so it becomes not only unblockable but also has flying.
For sure. The art's
Everybody,
also
please laugh. That's a joke. That's a joke. It doesn't do anything if it fly. Fuck you guys.
Oh, it's unblocked. Yeah, I got distracted by the art, and the artist Franz Vowinkle. And looking through, he's done some wonderful, wonderful other work.
Yeah.
I apologize. I was looking at the art of Franz Vohwinkel. That's my bad. It was a good joke, Joe. I'm sorry. I was looking at Blood Moon and Cathedral of War
Mm-hmm.
and Chrome Mox. This guy's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a set autopsy, I should say, on Alara, not the beautiful works. Yes.
All right. Well, do you guys have anything else to say about Glass Dust Hulk? I think it's a good card. I might buy and build golems at some point still, and this will be in that for sure because it's a golem and it cares about artifacts.
I think it's
we talk about it.
I think it's so cool you can cycle it away for 1 mana.
You're evil.
I think you are cycling is so good. It's
No,
so
agreed.
powerful. Like I run some garbage cards with cycling.
Yeah.
I still run Orchard Strider in my $700 bracket 4 food deck because it's just a great mechanic. It's just kind of busted.
Mm-hmm.
I do think this would be far less playable without cycling. With cycling makes this justifiable. Because again, like if you have it in your hand, you're like, you get mana screwed, or you need to card draw, and you're like, I have enough pieces on board. Then you get rid of this guy, and he goes to the bin. That's his purpose.
It's a card that's both a threat and a cantrip, and that makes it.
Yes.
If you can care about something else, like the fact it's an artifact, the fact that it's multicolored, the fact that it's a golem, it's good.
Yeah, for sure. All right, who's got the next? I almost said Shards of Alara. Jesus Christ, the next Alara Reborn card for us to talk about while we're wrapping up the episode here.
Joe, you got something?
I do. I want to turn your attentions to Grizzled Leotau, a vanilla creature. It's in Selesnya, as both cards that I care about in this set are. This is, as somebody who, over the weekend, bought a bunch of cards in Japanese and Korean, it's notable to say this is the last card that was ever printed in Portuguese. It was given a list slot. They reprinted it just in the list, and that was that. It's sort of a last stand. Even the flavor text that talks about, going out triumphantly, I'm assuming that obviously it has some kind of cultural significance to Portugal. A lot of countries in Europe have a heraldic tie to lions, so I presume it's that. But the Portuguese listeners in our audience can probably tell us more about that. I think that it's a sad end. I don't like how much of Wizards of the Coast's attempts to make the game more accessible has also come at the expense of localizations being cut. There have been 6 or 7 languages that are just no longer printed in Magic cards. But the fact that Portuguese didn't go out with an announcement on the mothership, but instead got a final stand in a card, I think is really interesting. It's touching. It's sad. It's a negative. It's a bad thing this happened. I'm not going to defend Wizards of the Coast for making that decision and then printing this card, but I think just in the abstract, this card in and of itself is an interesting sort of last stand or triumph.
I will note this is a vanilla 1/5 for 2 mana. I know it's up on screen right now, but for audio only listeners, that is what we're talking about, and it was printed and retranslated.
And that's interesting. That's
also
compelling.
It is also very interesting. I will also point out this cat has hooves.
Yep, it's a Leotau.
Yeah, awesome. I didn't know Leotau have hooves. Very cool.
Everyone knows that. That's a fact we all knew.
Sorry.
WotC does that sometimes. They just invent a creature and give it a different trait. For some reason, Leotau, cat with hooves, is just a cat. But Felidar, cat with horns, is a cat beast.
Mm-hmm.
I wish this was a cat horse. That would be awesome. If only.
Okay. Not what I was implying, but that's funny. It should be.
It should
be cat horse.
Petition Wizards.
Upper half cat, bottom half horse.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. I want to talk about. Can I talk about some weird creature, a special creature to Alara? I'd like to talk about, if I can, the Cathari. In this set, we see Cathari Bomber and Cathari Remnant, I believe. We've seen Cathari cards before. Joe is the resident bird expert, but I'm the resident Labyrinth and Dark Crystal fan. Dark Crystal obviously has its Skeksis. We all know this because the Dark Crystal is the greatest movie of all time. But I play Cathari Bomber in my Labyrinth theme deck. I picked up Labyrinth sleeves at one point and was like, I need to set out to build a Labyrinth deck. And as we, again, all know, this is a very popular thing to talk about, where our watch views will go up right here. As you know, the Fieries from Labyrinth, Joe actually found me this card when I was building the Labyrinth deck and said, Bobby, you have to put this in here because Labyrinth cares about goblins. That deck makes so many 1/1 goblins because the movie cares about 1/1 goblins. And then this is a bird with a bunch of fire around it. That's what that one song is, and Kevin Clash plays a fiery. So this is why Cathari Bomber is the top card in the Labyrinth deck. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. This is a great card. It makes so many goblins. It's so cool.
I think I've ever played against your Labyrinth deck.
It can win. It's like
It's a lot of
sure.
sitting there watching a bunch of unrelated cards get played.
And Bobby explains why each one is a reference, so the
Yes.
turns take longer.
It's really fun.
Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome.
No, what it is, it plays a bunch of 1/1 goblins, and then you cast like Warp World, and then turn them into like Grass, Unstoppable Juggernaut, and then
I
have
love
more 1/1
Grass.
goblins, and then you kill people, and it's great. It like people leave you alone because they think you're playing the Labyrinth joke deck, which you are, and then you kill them with it, and everyone has a blast and makes a lot of David Bowie references.
Now, my Jim Henson theme deck is better. End
Debatably.
of sentence.
I guess I need to make a Henson theme deck. You've taken Dark Crystal, and then Joe's taken Muppets and
Labyrinth.
Sesame Street. Oh, Labyrinth.
He has
my bad,
Labyrinth.
excuse me.
Mine is only Sesame Street.
Yes.
All right, so I need to make a Muppets theme deck, and then we're good.
Yeah.
Then we could do an episode where we just play all our Henson decks at the table.
That'd be fun,
That'd be good.
actually.
That would be fun.
Somebody put it in the Google Doc I made.
Yes.
Okay, is there anything else to say about Cathari Bomber? I think you could play this in a Rakdos Goblins deck.
Yeah.
I
this
don't
is
hate
cool.
this. It because it has Unearth, it has a second life. Any card you can
Yeah.
play twice is automatically better.
Yeah.
This is true. Are we at the end of our autopsy? Have we found the cause of death?
I mean, I have a few more cards that I think are really, really interesting.
Yeah. Let's list them off quick.
I'm just gonna be very, very brief. Knight of New Alara. Run it in Jared Carthalion. If you run a deck that has a bunch of colors, this kills people. This is one of the biggest threats in the entire deck. Run it. It's great. Even Mimeomancer. If you are a Birds player, especially a Kongi player, do not fall for this trap. This card fucking sucks. This card is awful. It never has good targets. The best it does is make a card from a 1/1 into a 3/1. That doesn't win you games. Do not run this. You can run so many better birds these days in a post-Bloomborough world. Other than that, because these are the cards that I actually have resolved probably at least 6 times each, I don't really have too much more to say. We all had a bunch of backups prepped. Does anybody want to give a quick PSA about their other cards they think are cool?
Yeah, I'll give a shout out to Singe Mind Ogre. If you like gambling with your friends, you can play this and someone will lose life equal to the mana cost of a card in their hand.
Yeah.
Fun, cool. That's a good that's just a fun card to play and play that. I like mini games in Magic. I love Dance with Calamity, where I can just play blackjack at the table.
I want to give a shout out to Raymond Swanland, who is not a Magic the Gathering card, but a Magic the Gathering artist, who popped off in all of Alara. But right here, I'm looking at Rock's Brute, which is just a 4-mana 4/4 with incredible art. It makes you just fall in love with the rocks and how they've adapted to Jund. And also Predatory Advantage, which just has such excellent framing and character design and really tells this whole story of this like kind of a odd mechanic and explains like, no, here's why, the story implications of like how and why it is working and why you're making a bunch of 2/2 lizards when your opponents don't cast spells on their turn. But now what is the cause of death? What are people's reactions now that we've dove into Alara Reborn? How are people feeling about it 45 minutes later?
I don't think it's dead. I think we cut open a living being.
Oh, no.
which is kind
I
of
think we
morally
messed
fucked,
up.
But yeah, I think we did a bad job as doctors for our first go about.
I think they were just anesthetized, and we are now legally culpable for this murder.
Yep.
Alara Reborn is dead, and we killed it.
Yeah.
It's alive.
It's alive. It's very much alive.
To not stretch the metaphor anymore. like people are still playing most of these cards.
Mm-hmm.
Almost every single card in this set still has a home in EDH or Cube.
Yeah.
Even Grizzled Leotao. I could, honest to God, probably put this in a green-white cats deck and
Yeah.
not feel like garbage about it if, you know, it had a budget limit. Or alternatively, it was specifically designed for like a bracket 1 or 2 game.
Yeah, toughness matters. That's a 2-mana 5/5 right there. That's a fine card. That's a good card.
True. Yeah, that's a
It's
great
kind of like
toughness
the
matters.
Tree Folk and Lorwyn,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Indomitable Ancients.
I have to
See
agree.
with
Well-
bright colors.
Yeah, I have to agree with Joe about like there's just so many cards that you could see that you could play and play them, and I don't think anyone would bat an eye. They'd be like, "Oh, I haven't seen this card before, but it has the coolest art and the coolest art direction and tells the story of this world coming together for the first time." But it is like actually playable, which you don't get from a lot of sets that came out in 2009. If we were talking about Conflicts and Alara, there are a lot worse cards in those sets. They're still very cool, and there's a lot of playables in them too. But yeah, like I think opening packs of this, you would see cards, you'd be like, ooh, maybe that has a home. It's kind of, I don't know, it exemplifies to me part of the problem of like EDH rec, where a lot of cards like this get forgotten about, a lot of cards randomly in Alara. But if you open a random pack of this, you're like, ooh, maybe this goes here and this goes here and this goes here. And you just like add cards in that way. I think part of like the Autopsy idea is like revisiting sets that people aren't as familiar with. Like right, Joe started collecting right after this. I started playing right after this, and it's like revisiting this set is like, ooh, this is a gold mine of things we could play now that we just happened to miss out on because it came at like this strange time in Magic where it's not exactly old Magic and it's not exactly new Magic. Like right after this, we get Zendikar, which I think brings a new design philosophy in. And that's it's a really interesting like inflection point in what Magic was.
To paraphrase what you said, this is a set that makes you want to build decks, and that's great.
Have final thoughts?
Is that all, folks?
Yeah.
I think I'm you guys summarized it well. This is a cool set, and it's nice to see older sets that stand the test of time. Again, there are far worse sets to go look at and be like, oh my god, these were awesome for the time, I'm sure, and they're like still very cool card designs, but you cannot put these in Magic decks. Most of these cards you can put in Magic decks, and that's awesome. To make them playable in Magic decks, you can put any card in a Magic deck. It just might not be very good, and that's fine. But yeah, those are my closing thoughts. Thank you all for tuning in once again to the Bog.
Yeah, and tell us what
I think Magic is best when it experiments.
Totally.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's my other thought is that I think Magic. Bobby, you're talking about opening packs and putting cards into lists and just swapping stuff out, and I think Magic, at least even Commander, is more fun when things are constantly evolving. If you have one set list and it stays that way the entire time you have the deck, I think that is ultimately less fun. Even if you cut like an optimal card for something that's just interesting, I think you should just try different stuff out. You have all these cards for your deck. I like the decks where there are like 4 commanders you can play. You can swap them out in any given opportunity, and then it's just like that commander for a game. Those are fun decks to me. So yeah, if you go back and look at old cards and go, fuck it, I'm swapping this in, do it. Go for it. Send it.
Yeah, and also I think let us know down in the comments below what sets you want us to do autopsies on. Evan just mentioned that there are a bunch of bad sets with terrible cards. Give them to us. What do you want to see us talk about?
Yes.
Or you can give us some good sets, and then we'll have interesting takes there, as we always do. But I think without further ado, Joe, you want to finish this up here?
All right. Friends, Nyans, countrymen, thank you so much for listening. A lot of our last announcements were already made at the start of the video. I said I wouldn't do this, but if you're available, if you're really enjoyed this episode, this shorter format, please like, comment, subscribe. Please engage with us. The algorithm has treated us very, very well as of late, and we'd like it to treat us better. We're very thankful that you came and listened to our dissection of this still squirming corpse, and we hope that you'll join us next week, next 2 weeks, in the fortnight, if you will. God, Magic did a crossover with Fortnite. I forgot about that.
You could play the Battle
Nevertheless,
Bus.
we love you very much. Have a wonderful rest of your time here in the bog, and we'll see you next time.
Bogstompers, a Magic the Gathering podcast
Features art by Jay Howley. You can find him at The Howley on Instagram. Our theme song is written by Alicia Chapman. Bobby Fasciano edits these and gets them online. Hey, that's me. None of this would be possible without viewers like you, so thank you, and see you in the bog again very soon. Peace.